Welcome everyone. Good morning. And yes, I slightly thank you very much, CrossChain Coalition, for the awesome warm-up music. And thank you everyone for the CrossChain community for joining us to the thousands of readers that we have in our community. Thank you as well. And as well, we want to thank all our prior sponsors for DevCon in Bogota. Thank you, Curve. Thank you, Layer Zero. Thank you, ApeWorks team. You are some crazy guys. This is what Python does to you. It makes you great. So very much warm shout out to the ApeWorks team as well that we hung out with and who sponsored CrossChain Cocktails with us in DevCon Bogota. And of course, please check us out on Twitter because we will be in Lisbon. Already the reservations are filling up. Another great networking event for everything relating to cross-chain on the blockchain. And welcome to Future Proof. Today is Tuesday, October 18th, and we are rocking with our most wonderful guest today, John from Hyperlane. Hello, John. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. It's great to be here.
All right. Now, I love the name Hyperlane, so I'm going to say we are future proofing on the Hyperlane. Yeah. I need a guitar. Somebody bring on a guitar. And again, one of the things we always do in these AMAs, they're short, they're punchy, but what they are the best projects in the cross-chain ecosystem, the best projects that have been essentially building in cross-chain and interchain activities and across any protocol. We don't care if it's Ethereum, Cosmos, Avalanche, Solana, Aptos. Hey, Aptos, mainnet. I tell you, all those
Oh yeah.
Aptos builders out there, we're with you. We're with you. John, how's it going?
Very good. Very good. It's great
Cool.
to be here. You and the rest of the folks at the Triple C have been doing great work, and you've been good advocates of the space for a few years now.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's an honor to do this with you. Yeah.
Let me tell you, listen, when I was a wee young lad, my daddy used to say, wait, okay, wrong story. But thank you for coming. First of all, we want to say today's topics, just to give everybody essentially, we're going to talk about a little bit about Hyperlane. We're going to talk about the core issues that Hyperlane is solving and the successes it's having. And then we're going to talk about scaffolding and the Hyperlane future, and of course, any alpha. And of course, the first alpha we tell everybody is get yourself over to Hyperlane, get in the Discord, participate in the community. I'm in the Hyperlane Discord. It's active. Great stuff happening there. Please make sure to be a part of it. Hyperlane is exciting. So John from Hyperlane, welcome. And I guess we're going to ask the first question. Bro, who are you and where did you and Hyperlane come from?
Oh, good question. All right. Maybe great place to start. So, myself, I've been in crypto, I guess, professionally for about 5 years now. And before that, so in 2016, I got really interested in this thing called Ethereum when a friend of mine comes up over the weekend one day and he's like, I'm going to put all my money into Ethereum. What do you think? The reason he's asking me this is because I'm the only one he knows who's in finance, so I presumably know something about what to do with your money. That was a bold assumption on his part. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a bad idea. I don't know that it's a good idea, but let's spend time on it. And him and I went into like this hole for about 48 hours almost. And by, Sunday afternoon, this was Saturday morning. By Sunday afternoon, I'm like convinced this is the most interesting thing in the world. And by Monday morning, when I get back to my boring job as a bond trader at Morgan Stanley, I'm totally pilled. I'm asking everyone, like, have they heard about this thing? Are they aware? Are they aware that it's gonna, like, none of us are gonna have jobs soon enough because of this thing? It's gonna completely change everything. And I spent the next, like, year or so just trying to get my bearings, to get to know people. I
Yep.
become a small-time Ethereum and Zcash miner, actually,
Oh,
because my fixed
wow.
income roots, yeah,
Zcash.
mining,
There you
yeah.
go.
I was very prudent at the time. I'm like taking care of my parents financially, and so like, I felt that putting my bonus into crypto would be too irresponsible. So I needed to find something like a safe crypto option. And being a bond guy, I tried to look for something that smelled like a bond, and mining felt like it. Stupid idea in retrospect. But I was looking for like, what can
What?
I mine
What's
that
wrong
is?
with that? Come
Oh yeah,
on.
terrible, terrible. I hate
Come
mining.
on.
I hate mining. Very happy about the merge. I don't ever want to mine. But I hear about Zcash, and I'm Israeli, and hearing about like, oh, this team of Israelis created this thing called Zcash, and it's like anonymous internet money. I thought it was always going to have a bid, so I should be mining it in addition to Ethereum, the more like speculative, because obviously Zcash is like, there's always going to be someone who wants private internet money, so it's never go to zero. Ethereum, more speculative, could go to zero, so mine them both. But soon after, by the end of 2017, I got my first position in a reputable firm in crypto. I was the first crypto investor to join this hedge fund called Passport Capital, and spent some time there. Became one of the first investors in things like Solana and FalconX and personally in FTX. And later on
Nice.
in 2019, I joined Galaxy and eventually co-led the investment team there. Spent the next few years there. And after this time,
Congratulations.
I'm super into, so I get enamored with cryptos about 6 years ago, and I'm like, oh, well, it's just a matter of time until like these computers are going to start talking to each other. The notion of a decentralized internet computer was incredibly compelling, but I didn't realize that it took me a little bit, it took me like more than a month to figure out that, this one and that one can't really talk to each other. And once that I realized that, I was like, oh, it's only a matter of maybe a year before this is going to
Hmm.
get figured out.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember like the walled garden internet. We had that in Israel too. And I thought like, oh, this is like a technicality. I didn't understand like the very sound engineering reasons, security reasons for why like these things don't communicate with each other. Um, so stayed very knowledgeable on the category of interoperability. Spent a lot of time in the Cosmos ecosystem. I went to school at Berkeley, so like there's a lot of or Berkeley roots for the Cosmos ecosystem. So
Hey,
that
hey, let's give it up to Berkeley right now.
yeah,
Osmosis, let's give it up.
yeah. So that made it easier to kind of stay abreast of interoperability and just like peeking all the interesting things that are happening. And you know, another year passes, and another year passes, and you're like, well, outside of IBC, this is really not happening. So like, what's going on? And by 2020, was really like starting to feel it. And for the first time, things are kind of lining up to where I could actually like just take the leap, become an entrepreneur. The following year, the I meet the folks who would later become my co-founders and Nam and Asa. And one thing leads to another. Spend time with Zaki, who obviously you're familiar with from the Cosmos ecosystem, and Morgan Beller and a few others, and we're like, hey, there's a really interesting chance to do something here. There's a few designs that are really promising, but like they need some work. And one thing leads to another, a bunch of brainstorming sessions like in September and October of last year, and really through Christmas, and kind of land on this design for what later would become Hyperlane. It was originally known as Abacus. Some of the folks in the room might remember it as Abacus. It's my fault for the name change. I'll tell you more about that. But yeah, so all that kind of like my
Whoa,
journey
whoa, hold
leads.
on. That's whoa, 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 whoa. That's interesting. So
Yeah,
you guys were Abacus before, and what was the difference between Abacus then and Hyperlane now?
just the name and the logos and things like that. And
Okay,
if
okay.
if you are a GitHub hound, you'll learn that unfortunately some of the things still haven't been renamed because it's quite a pain
Hmm.
to rename some of the open source infrastructure pieces. But
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
working
yeah.
on it. So I'm sorry in
Hmm.
advance
Hmm.
if you have to go through that. The Abacus name was great. I liked parts of it. I didn't
I think
like
it's a
what was
great
very
name.
common. It's a wonderful name.
Yeah,
I'm a big history nerd, and so
yeah.
Abacus was this thing that like revolutionized the first like
Hey, hey,
there
hey,
would be no
hey,
commercial revolution without an abacus
hey.
because people
Of
couldn't code.
course. Listen, listen. More
Uh,
than that, there won't be any, daddy daughter time on Saturday mornings without the abacus. Okay, that shit is real. It's good.
yeah, it's this excellent tool.
Right?
So, but eventually we realized that there's a few of them in crypto, and certainly many of them. So it's one of the most apparently it's one of the most popular names for Delaware
Hmm.
companies. There's over
Yeah.
150 of them, and there's unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately for them, unfortunately for us, it's kind of like more latecomers. Is that there were a few abacus, abaci, I don't know what you want to call it, in
Oh my
crypto, and we
God.
kept having name collisions.
Oh my
And
God. Right, right.
while it's a wonderful name, It
Yep.
doesn't tell you anything about what the thing does. And so
Yeah.
one of our
Yeah.
recent joins to the team is a major Star Wars nerd. I'm a big Trekkie. My dad
Mm-hmm.
was a huge Star Wars fan or Star Trek fan. We like Star Wars in
Mm-hmm.
the house, but Star Trek always dominated. Turns
Yeah.
out the Hyperlane is basically the fastest and safest route between star systems and being really between 2 points in space in the
Oh,
Star Wars universe.
I'm liking
And he
this Cosmos
suggests that,
thing. I'm liking this
yeah.
Cosmos connection. I'm
So I'm like,
liking it.
ah, all right,
Yeah.
okay. So, what are we trying to do? We're trying to connect these blockchains. They might as well be in different galaxies.
Yep. Yep.
So we're gonna create the hyperlane. We're gonna allow
Wait, but hold
anyone
on.
to.
Is Hyperlane a Cosmos chain with Zaki? Like, you guys are a Cosmos chain, right?
Not yet, not yet. Maybe one
Oh
day.
my God! Wow,
That's right. I
you're
know.
killing us, sir. You're killing us here.
You led me into that one.
Oh my
Um,
God.
there are very
I don't know.
strong
You said
ambitions.
hyperlane, you said
I know.
stars, you said universes. I kind of thought,
It's
into the
it's right there.
cosmos.
It's
It's
right
right
there. No,
there.
I know.
It's right there.
But all things in due time. So one
Yeah,
thing
that's
we've
right.
done so far is we try to extend a lot of IBC concepts to
Okay.
non-IBC environments.
Okay.
So a couple of our latest features are very recognizable to people in the Cosmos ecosystem, to people
Yeah.
who are IBC IBC fluent.
Okay. But
Um,
wait. Slow down. But when you say you extend IBC features to non-IBC locations, what does that mean exactly? Like, what should a cross-chain dev be thinking that means to
Excellent
them?
question.
Yeah.
What it means then is that IBC right now is probably the most. Um, it takes a set of trade-offs where it says like, how can I get
Hmm.
maximal interoperability with it
Yeah.
without having to make like while staying maximally decentralized or trustless.
Yeah.
And to do that, it requires a pretty rigid construction of the execution environment. So the blockchain that this is happening on, um, there's a very well-defined design that it has to follow. So pretty
Uh-huh.
much any chain that supports the Cosmos SDK, any chain that it comes down to like, do you have fast finality? Can you support
Yeah.
lifeline verification? There's a few other
Yeah.
things, but by and large, those are the two large ones.
Yeah.
Um, you can participate in IBC. Now, unfortunately,
No.
that excludes the EVM, which is
Okay.
we at Hyperlane we think of like the universe of blockchain is being divided into these environments. And so the
Okay.
most dominant environment where most of the activity is the EVM environment, obviously ETH
Yeah.
being the most dominant part of it.
Yep.
The Cosmos and Cosmos DK environment now to me seems like the second most dominant. And then we have, more heterogeneous environments like the Solana VM, which parts of last year felt like the second, the runner-up to Ethereum.
Uh-huh.
And things always certainly change with time.
Mm, mm. But
So,
but okay, but hold on. But let's get back to IDC features and extensibility. So
mhm.
if I'm a cross-chain developer and am I using Hyperlane, am I using IBC channels to send a message from, say, Ethereum to the Cosmos, another Cosmos chain, or am I using something else entirely?
You are using something else. So the architecture of Hyperlane resembles IBC channels and like in other parts of IBC, but
Uh-huh.
without those requirements of fast finality is not required, light decline verification is not required, and
Okay.
to enter that you get a um, different set of trade-offs.
Uh-huh.
The most immediate of those is that you still can use. So you can use chains right now like Evmos and in the future maybe
Yeah.
Berachain or Canto
Yeah.
that have those EVM channels or
Yep.
mostly ETH mainnet channels,
Yep.
and then you can use those once you've reached that as your destination. Now you get access to the entire IBC universe. Um,
But hold on.
so that's
If I
something
use,
that we're
but
certainly
wait,
working
hold on,
through.
hold on. So let me make sure I understand.
Mhm.
I'm a dev. I'm writing NFTs in Polygon, and I want to have my NFTs in Polygon, for example, tradable in Stargaze on Cosmos SDK,
Yep.
just for shits and giggles. So if I'm today going to Hyperlane's dev group, I'll be like, hey, how do I do this? what you're saying is, okay, you will send a message from the EVM to Hyperlane via the Hyperlane version of IBC. And then because Hyperlane has a Hyperlane version of IBC from EVM to Cosmos, Cosmos to Cosmos is regular IBC. So that all that is now open to me, the entire IBC. Is that what we're saying, or are we saying
Sort of,
something
sort
else?
of. To be
Okay.
like totally clear for our audience. So, um, the Hyperlane architecture looks a lot like IBC, and right now it is
Yes.
live on 8 EVM chains, and you
Oh,
can use
awesome.
that. Yeah, so you can use that,
Okay, whoa, 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 whoa,
and
whoa, 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 wait, wait, it's going fast, going fast. Slow down. Slow folks back home.
too
All right,
excited.
so yeah, I know it's like, and this is why we're gonna have you back again because this is very cool. What you're doing is it seems to me to be very very new and very powerful. All right, so the I so is it that you guys forked the IBC implementation and built it for yourself, ground up using say IBC is a spec, an implementation, and you said, hey, we will build an implementation of IBC that lives on the EVM. Is that a clear understanding?
Less of like looking at the implementation and forking it, and more like looking at the actual design. Kind of
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
less in less copying of code or forking of code,
yeah.
and
Of
more
course, of
looking at
course.
white paper kind of design and saying,
Yep,
wow,
yep,
this
yep,
is
yep.
really clean. Like they use
Nice,
this and they arrive somewhere really good.
nice,
But
nice,
the
nice, nice.
trade-off that you're taking is it has to, like, the chains that are communicating have to look like this.
Yes,
Okay, so if this is what I want to get to, how can I,
yes,
take slightly different trade-offs, say,
yes,
and end up with a broader set of chains? So what do you need to do
yes,
to take IBC or
yes,
design like IBC and support basically
yes.
any environment?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, so
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why it was
yeah.
incredible
All
to
right.
have,
Okay, okay, okay. Hold on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, hold
all
on.
right.
Let's reflect. Let's reflect again. Make sure we get it right. You can think of it as TLDR. TL didn't, okay, and for everybody reading and listening on the YouTube, it's all good. TL didn't listen. It's IBC for the EVM.
Yeah, I think,
Anyone?
that's
Anyone?
from our
Anyone? Is that cool?
conceptual.
Is that cool? Is that powerful? Is that like is there like everybody clapping? Everybody's like standing up. Yeah, bravo. Okay, so
No,
just to make sure we
they're jumping out
understand,
of their
you
seats.
I know, right? I can see them now. You have created a hyperlane implementation of IBC that has been deployed to the EVM chains, which allows IBC type communications to these chains. But is it still a and consensus is still Tenderbit, or is it something else right now?
Great question. So actually, Hyperlane doesn't force any of its own consensus. So there will, at least for the time being, there's no aspiration to have a dedicated Hyperlane chain.
Why was that
Hyperlane,
decision made? Whoa, 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 whoa.
let
See,
me
this is
tell you,
powerful stuff. I know. It's like good, good, good. Give me, give me, give me. Yes, go for it.
um, so once you add your own chain, you are now
Mm-hmm.
creating basically a channel, or some
Yeah,
people could say a bottleneck that everything
yeah,
has to go through.
yeah.
Our view is like, hey, the main problem with these blockchains that we have that are amazing internet computers is
Mm-hmm.
that they can't communicate, and that limits what we can do as developers, what we can do as creators of products.
Right.
So we didn't want to solve this problem, this
Mm-hmm.
blockchain problem, by introducing
Mm-hmm.
another blockchain. We just felt like we need a better networking system between those
Mm.
chains. So
Mm-hmm.
Hyperlane, smart contracts on every chain that we support, and then with a mesh of like these off-chain agents that are
Yeah,
totally permissionless and open
yeah,
source, we create
yeah.
like the network between the chains we support. So the consensus happens on the underlying chain that is sending the message. So you're just piggybacking off of that consensus, and a message, something that you're going to send, say from ETH to, one day, let's call it like, Bear Chain, which is a chain we're
Mm-hmm.
all very excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it first needs to be finalized on the sending chain, in this case on
Mm-hmm.
ETH. Once that happens, like, why do you need to pass it through another layer of consensus? Like, that message either happened and has been finalized by the ETH validators, and if that's
Mm.
the case,
Mm.
our protocol will look at that and say that looks valid to me. Um, and then when we're examining it, like, did all the
But hold
parts
on,
of the
isn't that
protocol?
consensus? Whoa, 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 whoa. But didn't you just define consensus on the receiving chain?
Yes, it just is. We don't create another process for it, so we just
But
use whatever.
wait a minute. You just
Uh,
said we observe an event that happened on the source chain, and we agree if we see it, that event happen. Isn't that consensus on the
Fair
target chain?
enough.
Yeah, it's all right.
And
No, no,
so,
no, 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 no. Listen, we are cross chain people here. This is our bread
yeah,
and butter, right? So we just, we got to go deep. But good, good. Go ahead. Yes.
yeah.
All
So
right.
each
Mm.
one, we do two things. First,
Yeah.
we have validator sets on every sending chain. They're the ones who are
Got
saying,
it.
okay, this looks like this message was fine. Like this
Well,
is the
hold on. Whoa, whoa,
block
whoa,
that
whoa,
was
whoa, 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 whoa,
finalized.
whoa. Hold on, whoa, whoa, whoa. Just to make sure we understand clearly, you have consensus on the source chain, the sending chain.
Hmm.
That is Hyperlane consensus, right? And those
Uh,
validators and no, am I
so
wrong? What did I do? Did I fuck up?
sort of, right?
Oh
So
God. Oh God. Help.
yeah. So each chain, right? Like those messages get added to the next block. Once they've been
Correct.
finalized, they're there. We can't do anything about it, right? We can't control
Correct.
the the validator set of every sending chain.
Perfect. Correct.
Each one of our like agents, right? These validators who are putting up a stake, they actually don't speak to each other. They individually make a decision of if this looks valid or not valid, and
Okay.
they sign that thing.
Yep.
They signed that message,
Yep.
and then we look for a collective of them, a quorum. But
Yes.
they actually don't even get a chance to collude. They're all doing this individually,
Well,
and
how do
so
you know
we
they don't get a chance to collude though?
well, of course, they still could, right? People could still find the time to get into
I'm
the
just
room and say,
saying,
"That's right." And so that's
I
why,
know some relayers on Binance Smart Chain who are like, hey, listen, we gotta play something. I'm just saying.
of course. And so that's how we know that like this is just a preliminary layer of security. What
Got it.
Hyperlane does that is really really unique is that so we have this thing that is kind of network general, these validators,
Yep.
but then we
Yep.
have something that is app specific. So we let every app
Yes.
on its
Yes.
on the destination, right? Basically where you're
Yep.
receiving the message, we let
Yep.
an app decide the
Yep.
logic and set the logic for how they want to accept those messages, like configure kind of their security model. So we call this thing sovereign consensus, but really all it
Hold
is,
on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Dude,
it's
that's huge. Slow
yeah,
down. Dude, what
you get to
you dropping
configure.
alpha here, baby. Whoa,
That's
whoa,
right.
whoa,
Yeah.
wait, come back, come back. Repeat what you just said about the application because that's massive what you just said there. Could you just share that one more time?
Yeah. So our
Yeah.
sovereign consensus basically lets every developer configure its
Yeah.
own security model, configure how it wants to accept
Yes.
messages. And
Yes.
again, say your app, like the Tariq's app and John's app
Hmm.
will have completely different logic.
Correct.
And unless we decide to use the same thing,
Yes. Yes.
what I do and what you do don't impact each other at all.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and so our team is
Okay. Whoa,
very,
whoa,
very
whoa, whoa,
crypto
whoa, whoa,
native.
whoa, 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 whoa. Look, we're going too fast. Why was this decision made?
Um,
And this is app specific security choices. Something happened
exactly.
that told you guys this is an important decision to make. Here's why we're going to make this decision. Let's tell the world why the decision was made. So let's go for it.
So if you're in crypto long enough, you realize that it's very evolutionary. That we design some protective mechanism, and then someone, a more sophisticated predator, comes and breaks it. And what everyone in the category of interoperability, especially ones who are making certain trade-offs, we every platform to date has basically said, "Hey, I have devised what I think is the best security model, and you, as the app developer or the user, you're gonna opt into this, and this is you get this. It's the same thing all the time, no matter what. This is what you get." And when we update it, you could get a better one. But if we don't update it, you're stuck with it. And that seemed like, I think we were naive enough 4 or 5 years ago to think that like you can design a best system. But what I think we've all learned through experience in our team is very crypto native. Most of us have been in crypto since 2017 or sooner. Um, and we realized like everything is just a matter of time before someone breaks, you know, any given system. And so you have to be able to let app developers choose from whatever becomes the state of the art. And the state of the art is not a static thing. The best model today is going to be different from the best model in 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 10 years from now. And so that was the first goal we had in mind. The second was we'd realized that in a system like ours, you're basically taking whatever the protocol says as a given. So how do you get to dispute that? You need to be able to have something to shield you from the protocol being taken over. A failure of the protocol should mean a failure of your application. Otherwise, this is not really a platform to build a house on. It's a very brittle platform. Uh, so with
Wait, hold
several
on.
consensus,
Whoa,
yeah,
slow down. You just said that if the protocol fails, the application that is running on the protocol should not fail. Is this true?
exactly true. Right, yeah, security failure
Okay,
in the protocol.
but yeah.
Right now, in almost every case, a security failure in the protocol means a security failure that then the apps are all downstream of it, their security is downstream, and so those things tend to coincide. And we were thinking,
But
how
isn't
can we
that
disrupt that?
because by the very nature that these apps run within the protocol, they share the security of the protocol?
That's right.
Like, are you saying that you can now essentially divorce the security of the app from the security of the protocol?
What we can do is we can give an app basically a right to choose how it accepts what the protocol says.
That was not the question. That was not the question. The question was, are you saying you can divorce the security promise of the app from the security promise of the protocol?
Yes, in our case, we can divorce the security of an app from the security of Hyperlane as a messaging protocol.
Perfect. Have you guys tested this and shown this to be, verifiably true
We are still
in either testnet?
testing it right now. So
Okay.
so far
Okay.
promising, but
Okay.
ultimately,
Now, whoa. When you say promising, what should I think exactly?
what you should think are is back to what I'm about to say is that
Mm,
this is only so if you give someone a tool to defend themselves, they still have to defend themselves. And so let's say if we give you the option to reason about and have logic for like which messages you want to accept, how you want to prevent malicious ones. If you don't do anything with it, it's not going to make any difference. If you don't actually exercise some prudence in the practices you employ, it's not going to make any difference, right? Uh, the fact that Hyperlane lets you customize, and use different security models based on context, right? Such that a transaction that's, say, moving around $2 worth of value can go through a fast and easy model, but a transaction that's going to drain entire contracts or move, above a certain, say, eight-figure threshold or something like that. If you don't actually use those things, then it doesn't even matter, right? And once you use
okay,
them,
hold on.
if you don't
Okay.
use
All right.
them,
I'm going to jump in here.
yeah, yeah,
I'm going to
please,
jump in. I'm going to
please.
jump on you. Okay. So what you're saying is, Tarek, if we find an exploit in Hyperlane where somebody creates 500 trillion Hyperlane tokens and undermines the security promise of the Hyperlane protocol, Tarek app, which has a 10 of 20 multisig, will still be able to function even though the Hyperlane protocol has to be halted because it has been exploited by this particular token inflation exploit.
That's exactly
Is
right.
that what we're saying
That's
here?
exactly right.
How does but okay then how does Tarek app then get security if Hyperlane, the protocol, is now compromised and unable to function because the chain, because CZ said, the team got together and made a great decision to halt Hyperlane while we fix things. Everybody can continue along your way. Like, how does that work in the Hyperlane space?
Two levels. So the first level is that you could operate the off-chain infrastructure, or someone in your community can. Again, it's totally permissionless and it has already been open sourced. So the actual passing of the message can be done by each application, and pretty soon we're going to have custom built or off the shelf scripts that developers can use to have their own users do the off chain parts themselves, and basically
But
bake
if
that
my own
into.
users can do the off-chain part, John, why do I need Hyperlane?
That's right, because Hyperlink gives you, again, so where you start to think like, when do I not need it, is when you have like this halting security failure thing. Because at that point,
Mm,
you're
mm.
using all of the tools that we've created,
Yes.
but you're using them on your own. right? So in that event where like
Yes.
Hyperlane has been halted,
Yes.
you can still accept messages. You could still like
Yes.
use it, but at that point,
Yes.
you're basically like instead of having say multiple layers of security, the ones you got from
Yes.
Hyperlane and the ones that you are using Hyperlane to implement yourself,
Yes.
now
Yes.
you're only on the latter. Um, and so you
But
can.
you're saying that that security is good enough. Like, is that the claim we're making here?
I think it's
That
good enough
that
in a temporary capacity. You probably don't want to run them
Okay, no,
forever.
well, hold on now, hold on there, John. When you say temporary, it's like my ex-wife, temporary restraining order, Tarek, temporary. Sorry, that was a bad joke. I'm joking, I'm joking. Everybody stop. When you say temporary, should I think how soon? How long?
I think, look, we haven't had a failure yet, so it's difficult to say, but certainly you can
Okay,
imagine, if there is a security failure in our system, it will be
yeah,
born of one
yeah,
of two things.
yeah.
Either, collusion in the validators. Validators are known and identifiable.
Hmm.
And again, they would have to sacrifice a lot of money to do this and also a lot of reputation. Uh,
Yeah.
so if it came from the validators, it's just a matter of like cleaning
Mm,
up the set, or it
yeah.
came from an implementation failure. Those are actually, even though
Mm,
they're easier to spot after the fact, might take a
hmm.
little bit longer to fix. But still, I think we're talking about hours and not weeks, insofar as
Okay.
like
Okay. Okay.
bugging
That's
things.
helpful. Yeah, 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 yeah. And it's good to quantify that as it's hours, not days. And those hours are not going to be weeks or
Yeah,
months, right?
because
So,
another
you know,
thing that you can do in Hyperlink is like as the so what Cybergate lets you do is basically say who you want to accept messages from. Like
mm,
the signatures of which validators are valid and the signatures of which validators are required. So imagine you said, hey, I'm going to make that multisig that you referenced, the 10 of 20. That one is required. But as a secondary measure, I, you know, uh, I'm seeing those three that look like they've done something nasty that led to this halting.
yeah,
I don't want to accept
yeah,
their signatures at all.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so in an event where
yeah,
like we had an issue with the validator set, very quickly we expect the community to galvanize and say, hey,
yeah,
0xd7,
yeah, yeah,
0xc3,
yeah, yeah,
these are some of the let's
yeah,
call them the bad boys, and we
yeah,
are in here's like the updated list. We don't think you should take messages from them. It's clearly demonstrated that
yeah,
they're malicious,
yeah,
and we
yeah,
can very quickly go back to
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah,
a set that we trust, so that developers
yeah,
get both
yeah,
the native security they got from their own safe measure,
yeah.
the safe measures they implemented using our tools,
Mm,
but also the
hmm.
security they get from our broader network.
Doesn't that lead, though we've talked about this with some other folks before, message signature type of X, I'm just going to ignore them because you know what, we don't deal with these guys. And because we have a large stake, most likely their transactions won't get, into a
Uh,
block.
so if they do
I mean,
if they do that long enough, their stake is going to continuously get smaller. So our
but
swatching
how? Whoa, whoa,
conditions
whoa,
will
whoa,
be,
whoa, 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 how so? Because
I'll show
but didn't
you.
you just say that it was okay? I thought it was elective. Like you just said it was elective for the signature type, right? To be filtered or non-filtered. Then, but why would we slash the
That's who
validator
you
if,
accept, but the validator
okay.
still needs to sign. So for a validator to commit
Mm-hmm.
fraud in our
Mm-hmm.
system, they do one of two
Mm-hmm.
things. They
Okay.
either sign something that didn't happen, meaning there is no block that contains this message that they are allegedly signing,
Correct.
or not signing something that did happen. So I have a block. I have, Tarek just sent this message on ETH to say Cosmos, to
Mm-hmm.
the hub,
Mm-hmm.
and no one signed it. So it's verifiable. I can see that this message exists. It's in a finalized block.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I
Yep.
can observe these 7 out of 50 validators that didn't sign it.
Yeah.
They're in for a slash.
Okay. But just to confirm though, the elective choice of the signatures to accept is not it's on the sorry,
So it's
message
on the
sender.
app to
It's not
accept them,
yeah,
basically.
exactly. Okay. It's on the app to accept. So the app can say, hey, I only want to accept messages from the top three validators
That's right.
because we love these guys.
That's
And
right.
these guys are awesome. And so we'll only accept it. Now, that could lead to issues of collusion, but we're going to hand wave collusion right now because it's the app responsibility to determine whether or not it's going to expose itself to collusion risk, right? But in spite of that, the validators still have to behave properly, because if they don't behave properly as expected by the app, then they will get slashed.
That's right.
So there you go. Okay,
Yeah, so
cool.
we believe in
All right.
network, like the network, everything network or infrastructure layer should be very permissionless. But if an app only wants to work with a very narrow subset of people they trust, that's on them. If they want to censor messages from certain chains, from certain users, even, that's on them. Then consumers, right, the end users can say, I don't like what this app is doing. And then, the market kind of can sort these things out. But
We
it's,
hope.
we hope, certainly.
We hope.
Yeah. But what we don't believe in is like making these decisions like at the network level, right? Like the networks are basically,
Okay.
there's infrastructure as fundamental as like the phone
Yeah.
company or the electric company. They shouldn't be
Yeah,
deciding who can get services or not.
but keep in mind, you and I, well, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid and I had my modem, I used to, dial up some places I wasn't supposed to be dialing, government entities, because it was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool, right? So this is interesting. First of all, I know we are. Thank you for jumping on the next one, and we spend an extra 15 minutes here. First of all, congratulations to Hyperlane. Great team, great advisors. And just well done in bringing and building your community. Very active and very performant. I also want to say congratulations on bringing new innovation to the message relaying infrastructure space, right? Like, you guys are thinking about it with fresh eyes. We need more people innovating on top of IBC. We need more approaches to cross-chain messaging, and I would say there's a body of work here that you guys are creating, which I'm sure will continue to rise and define new ways to communicate. So congratulations as well. I think you guys also raised around 18.5 million. So
Yeah,
congratulations on
thank
the
you.
round. Exactly. And I know we always ask the call to action. So what do you guys need right now? You need devs, you need community, you need apps.
Um,
What's important?
all of the above. I'd say like the
All of
thing
them.
that we prize kind of above all else is just excited participation, and excited
Yeah.
participation takes a number of forms. You can
Yeah.
just come into the Discord and like just try and be a part of what we're building, either because you're a developer who wants to build something with this, you want to incorporate it into an app you already have.
Yep.
You might be excited to use one of the applications that are being built, or you're
Yes.
just excited about like what this thing can be. We didn't talk
I,
about all the things that we're
I
trying to do,
know.
but
I
we'll
know.
have
I
to come on
know.
another
I know.
time.
I know.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
No,
like
this is why we have to do another one.
some of our contributors, like we have, uh, he's not in the audience, but this wonderful guy, I think it's a guy from Japan, who has just really been into what we're doing and has, is a validator by trade. So he stood up his
Hmm.
own validator and got some of his, local validator community to be a part of Hyperlane and start
Hmm.
running their own infra. And he translates a
Hmm.
lot of our materials into Japanese, and he does this completely out of his
Awesome.
own volition. But like he's an
Yeah.
incredible contributor, um, that just does it of his own, own volition, his own motivation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd say that is excited participation.
You got it. And shout out to Hyperlane Japan. Good.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I think also the next question I had a question. It was going to be important about you guys' deployments. You're currently deployed on mainnet on which EVMs?
So obviously on ETH, the next chains are, and don't laugh once I hit the one that's gonna make you laugh. But it's Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon,
Okay.
Avalanche,
Yep.
Celo, Moonbeam, and the Binance chain.
Yep.
Um,
Very nice.
yeah,
Very
so
nice. And that's from your test nets. So your test nets already deploying to these main nets, and you guys are testing live.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we're testing live. So basically, like right now, you can build what we would call an interchain app that uses Hyperlink to communicate between all of these. You can use our
Mm-hmm.
main features like interchain accounts, interchain queries, which
Yep.
again, to the IBC fluent
Yep.
folks, this will be very familiar.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
That's right.
and some of the features that are still being tested out are some of like we haven't turned on proof of stake is not live yet. So right now we're in a mode where the validators are known and are sort of in
Wait,
a.
hold on. I thought you said there was no staking. What's going on here, John?
There is staking. Yeah, there's going to be
What's going
staking
on
by
here,
validators
John?
on every chain. It's just
You,
there's not like a
you said
specific.
there's going to be.
Sorry, there's not a specific
Okay.
chain where staking
Yeah,
happens
yeah,
that
yeah.
is.
And because Because there's consensus. If there's staking, there's consensus, John. You know, yum 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 yum. I can smell token. Hyperlane token.
There will be one soon that will be staked
Very
by these
nice. Very
validators
nice.
on the respective chains. We are also experimenting with the new like restaking primitive that Eigenlayer is working on.
Very
Yeah, so
nice.
those are some of the
Eigenlayer
things
guys are
that
very
yeah,
smart.
very very smart.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
far too
Yep.
dumb.
Yep.
I can't even be in the same room. It
Yeah.
hurts. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so those are some of the things that are being tested. But if you join our Discord, kind of keep track of what we're doing. We're by the end of the month should be starting our first community call and do that kind of on a regular basis. And it's probably the best way to
Yep.
stay abreast of what's happening here at Hyperlane.
Yep. You got it. All right. Well, community calls are coming. Join the Discord, get involved, join the community, and contribute. That's how we do it in open source and in the Cosmos as well. Congratulations to the entire Hyperlane team. Well done. This is our longest future proof. So we've set a record here. We've had two in one go, and I think we're now at like 50 minutes. So we need to have you guys come back. We need to keep tracking the progress and keep sharing
Anytime.
the innovations you have
I love it.
broader industry.
Well, thank you very much, Tarek,
Thank
and
you.
everyone at that Crossing Coalition. This was a lot of fun.